And we should be live any moment now. There we go.
Awesome.
Hey, everybody. How you guys doing? Now Lloyd says, hey, everybody. What is N-E-G-G?
N-E-G-G? Oh. Neg-nerd. I don't know. Neg. We're a neg-nerd. We say, oh, it's a nice hat, Bill. I mean, it does look cool to be like an 80-year-old golfer. I mean, that's a good look.
What?
That would be negging someone. So we could be a neg-nerd. We can neg you about things.
All right.
That was a bad negging, but I couldn't come up with anything.
You're terrible. That's awful. What's your problem?
Many. How much time do we have?
Not much, because we have a podcast to record. So before we actually get started, I want to thank a whole bunch of people. MK Gaming, Jean-Francois Chef, Bad Mojo, Goblin Lord, Vernificus, The Nerf Report. Wait, why didn't it click off? Okay, Hungry Moogle, Mark Miller. I always have trouble with this name. Wojis. What do you think that is?
I think it's Wojik.
Wojik. That's a cool name. Bud. One of my friends when I was in college, his name was Bud. That's how we always said it. We always said Bud. Stadia, Rocket Raccoon, Alex, Ian, Cohen, Brian, Valentine, Jay Dangle, Simon, Ray, Chris Peters, Rodney Husley. I don't know why that's like 20 hours ago. Oh, that was a super chat from my live stream. Florian, GRS, John Eisenmenger, Eric Dvorsky, Rodney Husley. So all of those people either became members or re-upped their membership or sent in super chats without messages. And big thank you to all of you. We really do appreciate it. And Hungry Moogle just became a... Wait, didn't I just say Hungry Moogle? That's the kind of name I... Yeah, look at that. 5 days ago, became a member, and now it's showing up in chat again?
Became a supporter?
All right. I'm confused, but we appreciate it. Hungry Moogle.
Okay, my mouse is not clicking now. That's great.
Oh, no.
Okay, there it is.
What are you breaking? That's what Vaxxer would say about this. He'd say, what are you breaking?
I have a Corsair keyboard and a Corsair mouse. The software that runs the Corsair, like, blinky light things is terrible. Like, I just hate the Corsair app. And it keeps crashing, and my mouse keeps dying. Like, it's a rechargeable mouse. It's supposed to last a week. It lasts like a day because it never shuts off the lights. So I need to like replace all my gear. I think I get rid of this keyboard and mouse and just buy something that is less like overhead. Is that a Logitech?
Trying to.
I can't see.
There we go. It's got it's got a horizontal scroll wheel and a vertical scroll wheel, which is fantastic for video editing and audio editing. When I use the scroll wheel with my thumb, it zips this way, and the scroll wheel with this zooms in and out.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's very, very nice. This is a Logitech MX Master 3, and then I have a Logitech keyboard. I don't know what the hell it is, though.
It's wireless as well?
Yes. I hate wires, so I always try and get rid of wires if I can. Wires are the devil. The only wire that's on my desk. I mean, obviously, except for the one that goes to my Go XLR, but those are all pretty well hidden. But the only wire that goes to my desk is my Stream Deck.
Nice. Yeah, I have the Corsair keyboard that has the G keys on the side, which you can use as mini Stream Decks. So I was like, I ordered one of those keyboards. Well, this actually ties into the Stream Deck software, which is really cool. That's cool. So you can use all the things that you would put on a Stream Deck on it.
Corsair bought Elgato.
Exactly. So I had ordered the keyboard, and then they announced support, and I'm like, oh, this is like the perfect thing. The thing that I own is getting new features without me having to buy a new thing. This is amazing. But then the stupid IQ software is just junk. Like, it is not good software. And you look online for help And it's like everyone says, yeah, the IQ software is it's a resource hog and it's terrible, and I wish you could run this stuff without it. So it doesn't seem like it's just me that is having issues with this stuff.
It seems like hardware, and I promise everybody, we're going to get to Stadia any minute now. It seems like hardware manufacturers make the worst possible software. Like all those problems that you were having with your software on your camera,
Yeah.
like all that kind of stuff. And I've had it until I got this mouse. I had another Logitech mouse, and I just ran it without installing the fancy Logitech stuff, which meant that it couldn't do any of the lighty up stuff or anything like that. But I don't care about any of that stuff, so
for sure. Yeah, I could care less about having my mouse glowing. Like I don't really care about that.
I
but
don't want it.
But it was really nice having the push button DPI switching, which is really good. So if I'm computing, I wanted higher DPI, but if I'm gaming, I want lower DPI so that I don't have to. I like if my hand twitches, I don't like, I don't know, look completely in the other direction or whatever. So that was the reason why I got this mouse, because it has directly a push button thing to change my DPI at will, which is great, but it brought all these other problems with it. So
yeah,
I don't even know.
I will say
I don't know.
that Logitech has the best scroll wheels, hands down, 1,000%. This thing has like magnets on it or something, and so if I turn it on, it'll do like a click, click, click.
Yeah.
And if I turn it off, like I can
You
just go flick, and it'll just keep spinning forever. So getting back to the top of a page real fast is really awesome. All right.
My last mouse was like that one, except not wireless. It was a wired version of that one, but only one scroll wheel. It was like an older, like 10-year-old gaming mouse. Loved it so much. But I wanted to get a wireless mouse because I wanted less wires on this part of my desk. And that's part of the problem. So I should have just lived with wires or spent the money and got a Logitech mouse like you.
Yeah. Well, last thing before we actually start the podcast, if anybody out there knows of a really cheap keyboard that still feels good, I am looking for one for, like, I'm going to buy it and bring it to work. And it doesn't have to be wireless. I don't care about that.
Can it be clicky?
The keyboard,
you want a clicky one?
I don't want it to to be loud, but I do want it to be clicky. The one that they give us on our computers is really mushy feeling.
One of the membrane ones. Ugh.
And I honestly, most of the time I wouldn't care, but I'm typing so much feedback to students on the stuff that they hand in because of COVID that I'm like, it slows me down because it's such a terrible keyboard, but I don't want to spend a bunch of money on it. So if you know of a good clicky but not loud keyboard that is wired, not wireless, and very cheap, feel free to @ me on Twitter. All right.
Awesome. Let's before we go live, let's tweet out that we are live.
Oh, well, we are live.
Well, sorry, before we hit record for the podcast.
Okay. Yeah,
what I
meant. That's a good idea.
That live, not the talking live.
Yeah.
Now live with Stadiacast. What number is this one? 95, 94.
Something. It doesn't matter. And paste that into chat so that people can retweet it if they are so inclined. And while we're waiting for Lloyd to type things, you guys could also click that like button because it helps. Thank you very much.
All right. Maybe I should grab an image. I don't think I have. Oh, I do have a Stadia thing. I could drop that in.
I usually just do a GIF. Actually, if you drop the link in there, it should just auto-generate the thumbnail.
Oh yeah, it'll auto do that. Yeah, so I'll leave that then. All right, so tweeted, copy link to tweet, pasted in. There we go.
There we go. Hopefully, hey, if you guys could retweet that would be awesome of you.
Yeah, like, retweet, and do all that stuff. That would be fan-darn-tastic.
Retweet. Although it didn't, like, I clicked on it and it didn't show the thumbnail like I thought it would.
My camera looks a little blurry.
I think it looks fine
today. Does it?
I think so.
Maybe it's just the capture. It could be my capture being restreamed out. Maybe that's why it looks blurry in this YouTube window.
I'm not sure.
That could be.
All right. Well, I think that we should start talking into microphones.
I agree.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Stadiacast. I'm Bill. That's Lloyd. What's going on, Lloyd?
Not much, man. Just loving this warm weather we're having up here in beautiful Winnipeg, Manitoba. It's usually minus Hoth out, and it's actually seasonable out there right now, which is good.
Yeah, I just finished cleaning my driveway, which is why I was running a little bit late this morning, and I did it without a hat on. Like, I had my jacket and snow pants on just so that my clothes wouldn't get soaking wet, but I didn't bother to put on my toque, so I was out there cleaning the driveway, hatless, and it was fine.
Wait a second. You called a beanie a toque?
A beanie? A beanie is something a baby wears. A toque is something that a man wears.
Thank you. Talking to all my buddies in the States, I'm like, yeah, I had to go put a toque on. They're like, what's a toque? And I'm like, it's the little hat you put on when it's cold out. Oh, you mean a beanie? What the hell's a beanie? That's the thing you put on your head with the propeller on it, isn't it?
I don't know
I've had this conversation many times.
Oh, okay. Well, you got to remember, I'm really close to Canada.
That's true.
So, like, I'm very, like, if I were to get in a car and start driving, I could get to Canada in less than an hour.
Nice.
Not your Canada, a different Canada. No. I mean, it's still your Canada, but not the Canada where you are.
I'm the same place. It's for me to get to the North Dakota border is about an hour. It's about 50 minutes for me to drive from Winnipeg to North Dakota.
Ah, okay.
So we're kind of in the same place, except I'm an honorary American. You're an honorary Canadian. So
that's right.
Different.
Don't tell that guy that reviewed the show.
Yeah.
All right, let's get started with all of the stuff that we usually do at the beginning of the show. But first, God, I got distracted by the whole toque thing. Before we get started, if you are here with us live and you want to support the show, you can click on the super chat button. Make sure that we see your message, and we will make sure to respond to each and every super chat in the second half of the show. One just came in from Sukotronic, so thank you very much for the support, Sukotronic. If you are not here with us live, or if you're here with us live, you can click on the join button, and if you do, you're going to be presented with a bunch of reasons why you should. And then finally, if you are watching this on YouTube after the fact, then all you got to do is click on that applause button, and that supports the show as well. Thank you very much. It's weird. So every once in a while, I look on the money that has come in from YouTube, and I see that people are applauding, and nobody ever leaves a comment with it, which I think is odd. But thank you to the people who are clicking on that button. You guys are all awesome. All right, let's get started with what we always do. We usually do what you've been playing. But before we get there, you said that you have a way to fix something.
Yeah, so something happened recently. I was playing on my Xbox, and I ran out of batteries in my controller again, because Xbox controllers by default they take batteries. So you play the game and it keeps popping up. Oh, your batteries are almost dead. Your batteries are almost dead. So I've been looking for a play and charge kit up here in Canada, more particularly local here in Winnipeg.
What's that? What's a play and charge kit?
It's a little thing that has a battery. You probably can't see that because it's very light gray on white. So it's just a battery pack, and Xbox controllers have a built-in USB-C port at the top.
Okay.
So you put the battery pack in, and then you can charge it through USB-C, and it's what should ship with these controllers, but they don't. And I was like, oh, I can't find it. And then I happened to be on the Xbox store, so looking at games, and I saw right at the top, I saw an icon for a play and charge kit, and I'm like, what? That's weird. So I went up to it and I clicked on it, expecting just for them to give me more information. And they're like, yeah, play and charge kit. You put it in your controller, it allows you to charge it, blah, blah, blah. Do you want to order it? $29.99 or whatever it was, or $34.99, whatever the price was. And I'm like, what? I can order it from the game store? So I went to the top, I hit order. It took money from my Xbox Live account because I had preloaded it with funds. Ordered it. It said, okay, you'll get a notification when your order ships. Thank you for shopping at Microsoft. I'm like, that's weird. 2 days later, a package arrives at my door, and it's the freaking play and charge kit. So it would have probably been a 1-day shipping thing, except I ordered it at like 10 o'clock at night, so they needed extra time to process it. So Microsoft Xbox has the game store, but they also sell hardware there. You can buy laptops from there. You can buy movies. You can buy TV. They've integrated everything into one. So I was thinking about that, and I'm like, with Stadia announcing that they're going to move to be built into televisions, this would be a perfect thing for Stadia to add. At the top of the screen or the bottom of the screen or whatever, there should be a thing that's like buy Stadia accessories, and they should have a Chromecast Ultra. They should have the new Chromecast with Google TV. They should have each controller. They could even sell like t-shirts and sweatshirts and all that stuff. Bake it into the store, because as soon as this is on a television in front of you, and your credit card and everything is all leaked in or linked in, sorry, into your account. When you're sitting in front of a TV and you're like, well, I'd really love to play Cyberpunk 2077, but I don't have a controller. Having that thing right there where you can click a button and it knows you because you've signed into your Google account. It knows your credit card information because you've linked it to your Google account. If they could do something where you buy a new TV and they give you a Google controller for $29.99 and 1-day shipping or whatever for most of the people in US, Canada, Europe, wherever Stadia is, I could see that being huge. And I had never previously thought of having hardware baked into a software store. And it just like my mind exploded. I'm like, this would be exactly what Stadia needs to get these accessories out. Instead of having to tell someone, oh, here, scan this QR code or go to googlestore.com and do a search for Stadia, they should just have it right in the actual Stadia store where you can buy controllers, Chromecasts, everything like that. I couldn't believe that this was a thing on Xbox, and it just kind of like blew my mind. And I thought, yeah, every store needs to have that. You should be able to buy your controllers while browsing for games, especially if you're browsing for, if you're looking at a multiplayer game for couch co-op and you're like, oh, I only have one controller. Have that stupid other controller thing there where you can order a bunch of them and they just arrive at your house a couple days later. It blew me away. Obviously, it had been part of Xbox store for a while. I had just never happened upon it. And when I did, I'm like, Stadia needs to do this 100%.
I had no idea that Xbox was doing that. I think that in a recent video, I think I suggested this exact thing. So great minds
really?
think alike. Yeah.
Nice.
I think it was on one of the videos where I was talking about the fact that the TVs were coming with the new TVs would support Stadia built in, basically. And I said, yeah, because now the thing that you want to get in people's hands in order to make it the best possible experience is that controller, and having it just be a button push on your remote and it shows up at your house a couple days later. That Stadia is all about removing friction. It's all about removing friction. And anything that they can do to lessen the friction and make it easier for people to onboard themselves with video games is going to help the platform succeed. So yeah, I completely agree with you. That is something that I can't believe that it doesn't already. Like when I boot up Stadia either in a browser or on my TV, they should have a button there that just says buy a Wasabi controller, or they could have I don't know how hardware works, but it would be amazing if they could be like, this is the controller color for this month, and they have like a new controller color that they've never had before, and people would buy it because people like to collect things. Look at the Nintendo Switch. Like there's people who have like, I don't know, 18 Nintendo Switches or the 3DS because they keep making those things in different colors or different themes, and people just keep buying them. This is a huge boon for Nintendo. I don't understand why more places don't do it. Like Sony, why do you only have the two versions of the PS5? Why is there only the Xbox Series X in black? Why isn't it coming in 17 other colors that people can get? Although, let's be honest, nobody can get either of those anyway. You know, the best next gen video game system is really Stadia, and we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. That's from the show notes. So I think that's a great idea, Lloyd.
Well,
Go ahead.
I bought a TV for upstairs over the holidays. I bought a Hisense Roku TV, and I've never owned a Roku TV before. I only bought it because it cost us like $100 because we had some credit at Costco, and I'm just like, okay, we need a new TV. This fits in the very strict dimensions that we have in our entertainment center. I want something bigger. Let's get this thing. And it came in, and it kept popping me up saying, hey, do you want to watch something on Crave TV, which is a streaming service up in Canada? And I said, no. Hey, you should watch Crave TV now. And it's like, hey, you get 2 free months with a Roku TV. And I'm like, oh, okay. I signed up for it. That's exactly what Stadia needs to be doing once they start shipping as an icon on the TV. It's like, here, you get 3 months of Pro and a free white controller. Just click here. And you click there, you create your account, you create your Google account, and you get performance for controlling the games that are on Stadia. But then putting all this stuff into the store, the ability to say, hey, I need one more Chromecast, and just go to the store and hit order, and a couple days later it shows up at your door. I mean, that is going to be huge. So I hope Google does something like that. Seeing Xbox do it just blew my mind because I had no idea that was a thing. Obviously I'm not paying attention, but if Google could do something like that, I could see that being huge for people that are just sitting on their couch and they want to get in and play some Madden or whatever when they're watching football. And it's like, hey, I can play the new Madden game. Oh, here, I can get a new controller right from Google, and it arrives in a couple days.
Well, okay, this isn't in the show notes, so I'm calling an audible, not like a not like an audible like, you know, listen to a book, but an audible like football audible, because Madden like has been advertised for Stadia, and it's, I mean, football is, I'm not a football guy, but football season is just about over, right? Like, aren't they in the playoffs or something?
I don't watch NFL. I'm a CFL guy.
Okay, well, I think it's almost over. It's around this time that people start getting ready for the Super Bowl, and Madden still is not on Stadia or FIFA. And I feel like, I mean, look, I'm not really interested in either of those games, but there are a lot of people who are.
Yep.
And are any of them going to buy the old version of Madden or the old version of FIFA when it's a yearly release kind of game that's going to come out? I don't know when I think it usually comes out in fall. We're already in January. It feels like it's been delayed way too long to have any kind of impact when it does land, which is only going to tell EA, oh, well, nobody buys games on Stadia because you shipped the football and the soccer games way too late. So nobody wants to buy them because they know they're going to have to buy the next version the next year. What do you think about that? Do you think it's ever going to show up?
I don't know. I don't know why it isn't here already, to be quite honest with you. And they might as well just hold on to the next release, or give you a free update to the next roster or something if you do buy this one earlier. It is really, really odd. I think besides Madden, I use Madden as a good example because a lot of people watch sports. But another thing that these Google TV integrations could do is it could say, hey, you just watched the Dark Crystal on Netflix. Did you know that Dark Crystal, the strategy game, is now available on Google Stadia? Do you want to play it? All those like synergistic deep linking things are going to be pretty awesome. But yeah, back to Madden for you. That doesn't help if they're giving you Madden from 7 years ago. Hopefully they get on that at some point.
Yeah, I don't understand what's taken. I'm totally fine with them not shipping a crappy game. Don't get me wrong. Don't think for a second that I'm saying you need to get this game out right now. What I am saying is just don't ship it and wait until next year. And I know that there's probably some people who are huge Madden or FIFA fans and they really want to get it, but do you really want to have to buy it twice? Because you know you're going to end up buying the next one. Anyway, I think that it's ridiculous. Okay, Audible has been played. We made a touchdown. Lloyd,
awesome.
What games have you been playing this week?
Well, if you watched the channel, I put up a couple first looks. The first one for El Hijo. I played the first.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to interrupt you. You say it wrong every time. I've corrected you. Other people have corrected you in chat. Are you doing it to troll us?
It's an H. J's are H's. Hijo.
Yeah, but it's Iho, Not Hiho.
It's not Hiho?
It's no, yeah, it's like IHO.
Well, see, I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know. I don't understand this. I thought I was saying it the way that I thought I was, and then I was corrected on YouTube, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do what this person says. Now Bill's correcting me. I'm just going to say the Stealthy Kid game. I've been playing the Stealthy Kid game, which sounds really bad out of context, so maybe I won't call it that after all. The game where you sneak around. I'm playing the sneak around game with the slingshots. That's what I'm going to play.
So
That's what I played. Anyway, I've been playing the L game, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's a stealth game where you are a child, and you were taken away from your mother, and you have to escape and go save her. It's fun. It's a stealth action game without any sort of attacking. You can throw like a stone to make someone look over in a certain direction so you can sneak by them. And I don't know, it's an interesting stealth action game with no violence or whatever. It's been a fun game. It's something that I'm gonna play a little bit more of, because I'm intrigued how they're gonna keep this going over multiple levels of really not no battles, no anything. It's just hiding from people and looking at their cone of vision and seeing where you can escape through and make your way to the next level.
I played a little bit of it, and I actually had to watch your first look because I got stuck very early on, and you got stuck there too, but then you ended up figuring it out. There's this very early on, you're in the monastery, and I don't know how long you're in the monastery for, but very early on, you're in the monastery, and it's like this big open garden. There's these two guys in the garden, and then there's a ladder, and at the top of the ladder is this other guy just like sitting, looking straight at the ladder. And my brain said, "Oh, I'm supposed to climb up this little vines off to the side." Do you know which place I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and my brain could not figure out what to do, and I said, you know what, if I'm stuck this early on in the game, then I am not going to be able to finish this game. So I just noped out and gave up very, very quickly. But I can definitely tell that it's a good game. I just I get stuck easy. Like I'll have my brain will think this is the solution, and when it's clearly not. But I'm like, no, that has to be it. I'm just doing something wrong, and I couldn't figure it out. And I ended up watching you, and I was like, oh, okay, that's how you figure it out. I won't say how you figure it out, but sure. Oh, look at Kevin Smith in chat says I'm stuck in the exact same spot. Well, watch Lloyd's first look if you want a spoiler on how to get past that spot, because I was like, this is so frustrating, and it shouldn't be that frustrating that early on. But really, it wasn't as difficult a thing. It was just, I wish they hadn't put those vines there, because those vines told me to go climb them, and I couldn't climb them, and that was really frustrating.
Nice.
All
nice.
right.
Yeah. So besides the LHIJO game that I've been playing, I've also jumped into some Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game complete edition, which is a re-release of Scott Pilgrim, which is one of the best 2D beat 'em ups that was released. It kind of started the new renaissance of side-scrolling beat 'em up games that weren't just the arcade game ported over where you hit start to keep putting more credits in. They actually did something different with this one, and I am absolutely loving it. The best part about this game is the fact that you can't play it anywhere else. It's been delisted from Xbox 360 and PS3, so unless you had an old console that still had it loaded on the hard drive, there was no way to play this game. And I've been wanting to play it many times. I was like, oh, remember Scott Pilgrim? Usually when I heard like an Anamanaguchi song come on my my chiptune remixes, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to play that game again, and you never could. So Scott Pilgrim is a side-scrolling beat 'em up. So you're walking around and punching people, but it has RPG elements thrown into it. So as you beat people up, you get experience and money. Experience levels you up. When you level up, you get more skills, more fighting abilities, so you can get different combos or different moves. And then you take the money and you go to stores and you buy burritos and records and all these other things, which permanently upgrade your skills. So you're beating people up, getting money, getting experience, buying stuff, upgrading your skills, et cetera, et cetera. And it just keeps going until you get to as you get to boss battles and things like that. I absolutely love the game. It's retro styled. It's 8/16-bit looking. It has a really great soundtrack. The level select or the character select screen looks like Mario Brothers 2. The world select screen looks like Mario Brothers 3. There's definitely some love to old retro video games in here. And it's a fun game. It's hard, but it is really, really fun. So I've been playing a lot of that as well. So happy to see this game. And the best part about it, it's like $15 in the stores and it's available anywhere. This game has been demanded and asked for so many years. I wouldn't have been surprised if Ubisoft came out and dropped it as a $40 release or something. But the fact that it is so cheap is making it just a really, really amazing game to jump in and play. So Scott Pilgrim, don't sleep on that one if you like kind of retro style beat 'em ups. It's a fun game.
Yeah, I played. I'm on the first level. I feel like the levels are really long. Am I wrong about that? Okay,
they are very long. Yeah.
So I'm on the first level and I kept thinking, okay, this has got to be the end, and it just kept going, and then eventually I had a game over. So I have not even finished the first level yet, but I really, really enjoy the art style. The animations are fantastic, and oh my god, the music in this game is wonderful. Wonderful chiptune music. It's so good. What an awesome experience. Lloyd and I are going to do a multiplayer. I don't know if it'll be a first look or something like that, or maybe we'll just try it out and talk about it.
Do a stream,
yeah. But that game, it's really fun, and I'm very impressed by it. I'm definitely going to continue to play it. And we've got a bunch of controllers. How many people can play it? 4?
4 players, yeah.
Okay, we got a bunch of controllers here, so maybe I'll get my my family to play it. It's included in Ubisoft Plus, right?
It is. So if you have Ubisoft Plus,
yeah.
And if you're in the US, because it's only available as kind of early access in the US, you'll be able to play it as part of your Ubisoft subscription, or $15. It's a ridiculous value for this game. Limited Run Games currently has, not for Stadia, of course, but they have box copies that they're selling on their website, including a $160 deluxe edition that comes with crazy diorama with lights and all this stuff. And people are buying it up. So this game is getting a lot of love all over the industry right now, which is fantastic. Good on Ubisoft for securing whatever rights they had to get this thing back out. So they'd have to talk to the makers of the movie, the writers of the movie, the actors of the movie, and then also Anna Managuchi to get their soundtrack back into this game. Whatever they did, whatever heavy lifting they did to get it out, thank you, because it's so amazing jumping in and playing this game again.
Yeah, it's really fun. I played El Hijo, I played Scott Pilgrim, and I also played a little bit more of Valkyria Chronicles 4. I am very, very much enjoying that game. I think I put about 4 hours into it yesterday. I did a stream for a couple of hours, and then I shut the stream off and I went down and sat in the living room and continued to play more. The story is goofy drama stuff, and I don't really care, but at the same time it's intriguing because I'm like there's stuff that's like surprising to me, and I'm like, what is going on here? And I want to know more, but it is very cheesy, like CW. What's the old Superman show? Smallville. Very Smallville kind of drama stuff. But I'm enjoying the game. The battle system is so good, as it always is in the Valkyria Chronicles game. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I talked about it, I think, last week and the week before. It's really good. Let's move on to the news. You were talking about a stealthy game. We've got a stealthy game coming out in 3 days, Hitman 3, and it features something that I think a lot of people forgot about back at GDC 2019. Not Hitman. Google unveiled Stadia, and one of the things that they talked about was state share, and we didn't really get state share. We got state share beta with Credo, which was basically just generating an invite link.
Mhm.
This is different, and Hitman 3 on January 20th is going to have the actual state share, where you take a screenshot or you
Mhm.
do the little capture video either by hitting the button on your controller or F12 on your computer, and it takes that screenshot or takes that video, and if the game supports it, which Hitman 3 does, it also does a save state, which you can then share to somebody else with a link, and they can play what you were just playing. So,
Yeah.
your loadout, your setup. So, you go in with the clown disguise. I haven't played Hitman very much, so I don't know. You go in with the clown disguise, and you have the I don't know, the baseball bat as your weapon, and you have 10 minutes to do this mission, um and then you can just share it with somebody else, and they have to do the same thing that you do, and then you can compare how you did with them, because the game rates you, which I don't really understand how it rates people, because I haven't played it, but it's confusing to me, because I think, well, did you kill the guy? Well, then you did your job, so congrats. So I don't know how they rate it, but
Right.
I am so much more excited about Hitman 3 than I was
Yeah.
before. I'm definitely going to be picking this game up. It looks really cool, and I love the idea of state share, and we finally got to
Yeah.
see what it looks like. What are your thoughts about this stuff?
It looks pretty amazing. The fact that you could get like 1 minute left in the assassination timer, you've dropped all your weapons in some garbage can, and you're going on basically like naked. You don't have any loadout or anything. You save your state, and then you send it to your community saying, "Hey, try to beat this guy. You have no weapons, you have no nothing, you have 1 minute to do it. Go." And then you can collect all these videos that people are streaming and see how they completed your mission that you created. So you're almost like a little game designer. You can design this sort of thing based on your loadout and everything, and then you give it to other people. And the best part about it is, if I play Bill's state share, it doesn't screw up my game. My achievements are there. All the stuff I've unlocked are there. It's just like this self-contained little section of a video game that gets loaded up. Really, really cool. And the best part about this, if you are a pro sub right now, you already have access to Hitman 1 and 2. Well, that's going to be included in state share as well. So you'll be able to do that in Hitman 1, Hitman 2, or Hitman 3. So everybody that is a pro
Wow.
will be able to mess around with this as well. You don't need Hitman 3 to do it. Although I'm sure the stuff that they've designed around Hitman 3 is probably going to be better. They might have some different missions that maybe are lend themselves a little bit more to using state share. But yeah, this is just going to be built right in. The user interface that was showed off at like The Verge, I think, did a little article about it. Looked fantastic. Some of that stuff was then brought back to the Stadia blog and was available there as well. It just looks super user friendly, and this is a type of experience that really can only happen on Stadia right now, because everything is self-contained. The software is written specifically for the platform. Stadia gives us the platform. For Luna to do this, or for GeForce Now to do this, is going to require some heavy lifting from the developers. Of course, including this in your game requires some heavy lifting, but
Yeah.
they've already included it on Stadia. So seeing this move to other consoles like Xbox or PlayStation might take a while, if something like that ever happens. And to have it here on Google Stadia is going to be huge for the platform.
Yeah, I feel like Hitman 3 is obviously going to be on a bunch of other platforms, but the best place to play it, in my opinion, is probably going to be Stadia, because of this feature, not because of the
Yeah.
graphics. Because honestly, at the end of the day, when you are playing a game on an Xbox Series X or PS5, Stadia, unless you're looking at them side by side, the differences between them pretty much fade away. And I'm sure that there are people, I mean, look, you look at Digital Foundry, they can show you like scientifically there are differences between them. But unless you're looking side by side, those differences just fade away. But features, those differences don't fade away. Those differences are huge. And having something like this is absolutely massive. It can bring a lot of people to Stadia.
Yep.
Stadia is going to be the best place, in my opinion, to play the Hitman games because of, and I didn't even realize the other Hitman games were going to have it, but because of state share and being able to do that social thing, I think that that's fantastic. And you don't have to buy a box to participate. You just buy Hitman 3 on Stadia, and then you're all done. I think that that's really awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be huge once you get a creator on YouTube that has like a couple million subs and they regularly have 10-20,000 people watching their streams. They drop a state, and all of a sudden you're gonna have people freaking out to buy the Stadia version so that they can jump in and play the game with them. It's going to be great for community members interacting with creators. It's going to be great for creators in user interaction with their channel, and it's going to be great for Stadia as a platform and great for game makers because they're going to sell more copies. Like, this is going to be a net positive, or it has the ability to be a net positive across the whole of the game industry, on the whole of the Stadia's game industry. That would be. I'm really excited to see kind of what happens. And the best part about state share, it's going to be different in every single game. So the way that it's made in Hitman means that I could be in a specific part of the level, save my state, share it with people. They're in that same part of the level with the same stuff I have.
I don't think that's true. I think on Hitman they put you at the beginning of the level.
Okay, is that what it is? I thought they continue from where you left off. We'll have to play around with it. We'll have to play around with it.
Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting, and then other games are going to have different ways. Other games are going to be more like Crata, where you share a state, and then they come into your multiplayer instance. So it's going to be more of a live thing. Here's my state, join me. They join you. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out once developers get some time with it and get to mess around with it and play around with it, because I could see this being huge on Stadia. There's probably going to be huge web YouTube channels that are going to pop up with just states and compete with people, try to beat this level in less time than the original person, and they're going to have leaderboards and all this stuff that is all just going to come up kind of like just grassroots kind of together. They're going to work together grassroots to get this stuff up and running. I'm really excited to see what all comes out of this.
Yes, absolutely. And you can be sure that on our YouTube channel, which you can get to over at nerdnest.tv, you guys are going to be able to send us your state shares, and maybe we'll be able to make a video of us trying your state share. I think, Lloyd, later on today, you're going to have a link that you can post to Twitter that would allow people to submit their state share links.
Yeah, we could do that. We have the submit one right now. We could change a different one. We could do like /state share or something if you want.
Yeah,
we can come up with something. Yeah, we can create something in time for this game to drop.
There you go. All right, so moving on. That, we're talking about how Hitman feels more next gen on Stadia than it does on the other platforms, and you posted this article in the show notes. From Forbes. It says, according to Forbes, which most of the time I don't really care about what Forbes thinks about video games. Their website is usually pretty trash, but this person seems like they're making some sense. And they say the best next-gen video game console isn't the PS5 or the Xbox Series X. They say, I have to admit it, I didn't expect to be saying this, but Stadia is the most next-gen console on the market. What is your thoughts about this article?
I love it. I love seeing viewpoints like this come out after 14 months of Stadia's trash, haha, Stadia, rip Stadia, ha ha ha, those types of comments that were all over the place. Seeing more articles like this is great, and it just goes to show how big of a release Cyberpunk was. I mean, people may or may not like the game. They may or may not like what happened to get the game there. But the reality is Cyberpunk launched and it was unplayable on every platform, including PCs, but you could still play it on Stadia. PC people that were using Steam, the day one patch wasn't downloading for people. It was saying it was going to take 20 some odd hours to download. It was virtually unplayable on Xbox and PS4 because of the day one patches, and of course the game itself looked kind of trashy on those consoles, which sucks because people didn't know what they were getting into when they pre-ordered. And meanwhile, 5 minutes after 10 p.m. or whenever it went live, it showed up in my library. I clicked play, and I was playing the video game, and it looked good. It played well. There were almost no issues with it. And having big websites like Forbes come out and say that Stadia Stadia is the most next gen of all the consoles right now. That is a really huge thing to say, and it's gonna hopefully bring a lot of other eyeballs to the platform that maybe didn't know about Stadia. So stuff like this is going to be huge.
Yeah, I went through, and I went through the list of every pro game, just the pro games. Not including the games that I have that are not pro games, but I went through and I made a list of every pro game that we've got since the very beginning, and then I went and I looked for all of the storage limits for each one of those games. This is just 1 year of pro games, and I went through and I found out how much each one was, how much each one weighed, basically. And then just a little caveat. Obviously, for Stadia exclusives, we have no idea what the storage is for those, so there's no way for us to find that out. So the actual number of what the storage requirements are for what I'm telling you is higher than what I'm actually going to tell you, and it came out to be around 900 gigabytes. So pretty close to a terabyte, and that's if you have every pro game and no other games. You haven't bought a single game on Stadia. You have to have a 900 gigabyte hard drive in order to store all of those games. Now on the PS5, I believe that they have 700 gigabytes of storage. On the Xbox Series X, I think that it's a terabyte, but it's actually like 800 gigabytes of storage. Am I right about that, Lloyd?
I think it's closer to 900. It's like 860 or something. But yeah, a lot of the storage that comes with your system is taken up by OS and other overhead stuff.
Yeah. Well, the fact of the matter is we don't have to worry about storage at all. That feels next gen. A slight improvement to graphics between the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X, and don't get me wrong, there is an upgrade to the graphics, but is that next gen? I don't know that it is. I feel like features are more next gen stuff. So I do like what they're saying in this article, this next gen, that Stadia is the best next gen console. Although I would say that Stadia is not next gen. I'm going to steal what somebody else tweeted at me at one point, or maybe it was in a live chat on one of our shows over on the YouTube channel. And it's forever gen. Like Stadia is not next gen. It is the forever gen. It's going to keep improving over time because we don't have to have this line of demarcation where we have to go out and buy a new box and the user base starts over at 0 and everything starts over at 0. And you have this line where now we're in the next gen, where Stadia is just going to continually, slowly upgrade over time. And at the end of the day, I think that is way more compelling than having slightly shinier graphics. But that's
for sure.
Just me.
I mean, there's lots of other bonuses to the new releases of consoles that have come out, like the instant resume on Xbox is huge. But loading Stadia from like loading a game on Stadia from fresh is almost as fast. Like it is really fast. Like you can get within 30 seconds, you're in a game, and then you don't need to worry about, oh, I want to play Borderlands 3. Ah, crap, I had to uninstall it because I ran out of disk space. Well, there's no disk space. You can just play any game that you have in your library within about 15 to 30 seconds of hitting play. So that is also that's kind of a nice little balance to the instant auto resume stuff that they have on Xbox.
I will say the instant resume looks fantastic. I don't really tend to go from game to game to game. I tend to sit down and I play a game and then I shut it off. So it's a really good demo, but in in the real use case for me, and I'm
Mhm.
only talking about for me, isn't that compelling.
For me, I switch between like Fortnite and Minecraft Dungeons and Gears of War, and it's really cool to be like, oh, I want to go back and play some more Gears. So I exit out of Fortnite just by hitting the Xbox button, and then I go to my list and I hit Gears of War, and then 15 seconds later I'm playing Gears of War. That is pretty awesome compared to how it used to be, where you have to like shut down your game, start a new game, and then it takes minutes for it to start up. So it is nice, but it's almost as quick and just as performant on Stadia, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Although have you noticed that your when you use your Chromecast, it takes a little longer to boot? Like I'm looking at the Stadia
Yeah.
logo for a longer period of time than I used to. Is that just
Yeah,
me?
I think they're loading a lot more data now because they want everything to be a little bit quicker. So they must be preloading a lot more data when you first boot it. I can't wait till the official TV app is released and supported so that I can get rid of my Chromecast and start using the Sabrina Google TV with or Chromecast with Google TV device, because then it would be more like a more like a PC or a laptop kind of experience than what we currently have on Chromecast.
Yeah. All right, let's move on and talk about this 9 to 5 Google APK teardown. There's some really cool stuff in there.
Mm.
I'm going to start with the not so cool stuff, and we're going to gloss over it so that we can spend more time on the cool stuff. They are
Sure.
apparently going to be updating the Explore tab to include things like activity, blog post, capture, cluster, which I don't know what cluster is, the For You header, friend invites, the Explore page, party invites, share, capture, trending game. I don't have anything to say about this. Do you?
No, not
Okay,
really.
great. The next not cool thing, April Fool's joke for support for 56K modems. I'm just
I love
mentioning it
that.
because it's funny.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
All right. So let's talk about the cool stuff. You want to start with Couch or Hailstorm?
Let's do couch first.
Okay.
That's going to be huge. So currently, right now, if you play multiplayer games, couch co-op, you log into your profile and then you add additional controllers that are not linked to other profiles. So if you get an achievement or trophy or whatever you want to call it, the other person playing with you locally doesn't get that. Or they might not, they might have other, like they might be playing through the same game, then people playing through say Scott Pilgrim, and they're level 15, but then when they join you they're level 1. So there's some issues here. It looks like what Google is working on is making it a little bit more seamless, and then being able to jump in with your own profile, which is going to be huge.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's frustrating to play a game and not be able to earn progress when you're playing. So being able to sign in is a big deal, and I like my one recommendation is that they put a QR code on the screen instead of having somebody type in
Yeah,
stadia.com/couch. So
exactly.
just put it on the screen. Hold up your phone, bam, you're signed in. I use that on Discord all the time if I'm signing into Discord, and I just open up Discord on my phone, scan the QR code, and I'm logged in.
Yep.
I think that's awesome. Now let's move on to the thing that we don't have any idea what it is, but sounds cool as hell.
Yep.
Project Hailstorm. They found two things in the code. The first is a hailstorm is coming soon, and introducing Project Hailstorm from Stadia. Now, I did a video on this, so I'm going to talk less, and Lloyd's going to talk more because I've already kind of got my thoughts out. But the big takeaway that I have here is this is a feature. I'm thinking that this is a feature. It is not like a lot of people were assuming that it was Blizzard was coming because it has to do with snow.
Right.
That's not what I think it is. I think it's a feature. And I think it has to be big. And I hate to hype people up about this, but I think that whatever Hailstorm is has to be big, because if you look at the other features for Stadia, they're all named matter-of-factly. State share, crowd play, crowd choice, stream connect. Like they all are just very basic whatever names. And then they got Project Hailstorm. And I know that state share and Stream Connect probably had code names in the past as well, but they didn't surface those to us. And the only reason for them to put this, like these phrases here, is if they're going to surface it to us in some way in the app. So I look at the app and it's going to tell me a Hailstorm is coming soon, introducing Project Hailstorm from Stadia. Very, very interesting. What are your thoughts, Lloyd?
I don't know. It could be something as simple as another April Fool's joke where we're beaming you your data from the clouds, and it comes in little balls of hail, and you have to use them with your controller. There could be something crazy like that. But my thought of what Project Hailstorm is going to be the release to smart TVs. I think that's what their code name to getting this working on across all the various smart TVs out there through Google Chrome apps or WebOS apps for if you have like LG TVs, or an iOS app, which probably won't work because we know Apple and Google don't see eye to eye on that. But I think that might be their code name for the project to get it on as many TVs as possible, and all the stuff that would be around that.
But why put it in the app then?
Because they're probably going to start advertising it. They want everything to do with Stadia in the app. And they want to start advertising it, so they're probably going to pop up something in a month saying, hey, Project Hailstorm is coming. You'll soon be able to download Stadia on your Samsung TV and your LG TV and your Sony TV, starting at these models going down, similar to what Apple did when they added Apple TV to all these televisions. It's like, if you have a Samsung TV from 2018 plus, if you have a Sony TV from 2020 on, you'll be able to download this app. I really do hope that it is something amazingly cool and it's going to blow our mind and it's a new game or a new way to play. But I think it might be something that's just as simple as having the smart TV apps, the code name on getting the Hailstorm, where Stadia is going to appear in everybody's house because they have smart TVs.
That would be so disappointing.
It would be.
I really hope that's. I mean, like I hid what Kagura leader said in chat because he was swearing, but I agree with him. Like, that would be very disappointing if that's the thing that it is.
I do hope I'm wrong.
I hope,
but
I'm
being as conservative with my predictions as I can. I think it might be something crazy like that.
Yeah, and let's be honest. I have screamed about this a million times in the past. Don't overhype things. And here I am overhyping things. Just because I can't, I personally can't see them giving such a cool name to such a boring thing. And it's exciting to grow the platform, but I don't think that that's the kind of thing that needs to be advertised in the app. I think that that's something that, I don't know. I think that that's a press release instead. You know what I mean?
It could be. Yeah, it could be. I really hope that I'm wrong, but I'm trying to think as conservative as possible, because Google's pretty they're pretty easy to figure out in some instances, and then other times not. And they've been pretty, like, they advertise good stuff, and good stuff was really disappointing to a lot of people. We loved it here. We thought all the stuff they showed off was fantastic, but they have these like really cool big sounding names for something that isn't quite there. So when I was thinking about Project Hailstorm, I was like, oh, maybe it's like a new multiplayer game, maybe it's an MMO, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Probably it's something a little bit more conservative. Maybe it's just a code name for a new product. Maybe it's a new controller or blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, wait a second. That might be the code name for these smart TV apps that they're going to be rolling out across all the different platforms.
Yeah. I don't think it's a game. I think if it were a game, there's no reason to put it in ahead of time, because that's a bad idea. I think it's a feature that has to be in the app ahead of time, or they wouldn't put it in the app ahead of time. You know what I mean? And I feel like there's no reason to... What's that?
With the text, it says, Hailstorm is coming soon, introducing Project Hailstorm from Stadia. It doesn't look like it's an app feature. It looks like it's more of an advertising thing that they're doing inside the app.
That's true. All right. Well, why don't you guys all tell us what you think Project Hailstorm is? Because I'm very curious. I want all of the ideas. I want to hear them. Because look, and you know what? There's no bad
I,
ideas. I could be totally wrong. Maybe it is Blizzard, but it's not.
I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I really hope I'm wrong. But I'm trying to be as non-hypey as I can, and I think it's just going to be something like that, where they want to advertise the rollout to all the different televisions where you can play Stadia.
All right, let's move on. We're talking about TVs and we're talking about that kind of stuff. So I'm going to switch over real quick to talk about Google may require AV1 codec on all Android TV devices starting on March 31st. You want to talk
Yeah.
about what is the, like, there's going to be people who are like, what's the AV1 codec?
So AV1 is a new codec. If you're not familiar with what codecs are, really quickly, and I know the true geeks out there are going to say you're wrong. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just simplifying it down. So codec is encoding, decoding. So it's an algorithm that takes a 4K video or a frame of 4K video and compresses it down in such a way that it doesn't take like 100 gigs to download or to watch a full 2-hour 4K movie. They shrink it down using an algorithm to get it smaller. AV1 is just codec that they've been working on, which is a lot smaller. It's I think 30% smaller than VP9 and 50% smaller than H.264. So it means you can transmit more video data with less bandwidth. AV1 is new. It's not released yet, but it is coming soon. And Google is one of the companies that is working together as part of a large group of people to come up with this codec. So it's a standard. It's not something that's going to be owned by one company and only used by one company.
Right. And I think Apple's in with them as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Which is why Apple was hesitant to work with VP9, because they were like, why should we do the work for VP9 when we're just going to move to AV1 anyway?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and VP9 was more of a Google-owned product or project, where AV1 is a little bit more industry-wide. The good thing is AV1 is a lot smaller, so with less bandwidth, you can get a really decent video. But the cooler thing is, once devices start shipping that incorporate it, that allows Google to say, okay, what can we give you? What is in our best interest to give you right now? Is it a H.264 stream because you have a lot of bandwidth and this particular video doesn't have an AV1 pre-transcoded version sitting on our server? Or can we give you a VP9? Or can we give you an AV1 for the best performance with the lowest bandwidth? So it's going to give them various ways to start dishing out video, just like Stadia today will give you H.264 or VP9, depending on which device you're using. Requiring all set-top boxes that are going to incorporate Android TV to support AV1 means that they're going to have to put an actual decoding chip on the logic board. It's going to require hardware, because the software to do the decryption is going to add latency. It's very heavy from a compute standpoint. So having all these boxes appear that support AV1 is going to make everything better. It's going to make YouTube better because it's going to be smaller. Yep. It's going to have 4K streaming better, and also Stadia will be better.
Yes. And then I guarantee that there's people who are going to say, well, hold on a sec. This thing doesn't have it. The Chromecast with Google TV does not support AV1. The Chromecast Ultra doesn't support AV1. And that's true. Yeah. So guess what? You'll get a VP9 stream instead, and that's totally fine.
Unless Google did something bizarre where they incorporated the AV1 a chipset that would do hardware decoding of AV1, but haven't activated it yet in Sabrina, and then they just need a firmware update to put the final decoding code into that thing. I don't think they did. We would have probably heard of it by now. People have torn these things down. But if they did that, that would be huge. And that would be a good reason as to why the app wasn't available, because they wanted to have AV1 encoded in these boxes. One thing that AV1 is going to make better is if you're on Wi-Fi, AV1 is a smaller file size. So if you get the odd dropout when you're doing a 4K stream, AV1 will potentially, it has the potential to make that less of an issue, because there's less data coming towards you. So I I don't know. My hope is that we'll be able to get it on the devices we already have. I don't think that's going to be possible. So I'll be buying whatever the next generation Chromecast is that has AV1 built in, because having less data to get the same visuals would be a huge thing for me.
Yeah, so that kind of answers Darren Pogue's question. He says, how does AV1 quality compare to VP9? It's roughly the same. It's just that AV1 requires a lot less bandwidth. So if you're using Stadia now and it works fine, you really don't need to upgrade to a device that has AV1, because I've seen a lot of people out there. They're like, well, this is stupid. I just bought this thing and now it's already obsolete. But it's not really, because you can still play. If this thing isn't working for you now, it already wouldn't be working. Or if this thing wouldn't work once they make this once they release the AV1 on Stadia, this thing wouldn't already be working for you anyway. So you would already be having a problem. This is just going to make it easier for more people. So and I guarantee there's going to be some very, very tech-focused people out there that are going to tell me that I'm wrong. Feel free. I'm fine with that. I'm okay being wrong about stuff. I don't think that it's a big deal to not have the AV1 codec. I think that the AV1 codec will allow more people to experience Stadia, but if you're already on Stadia, then you're fine, and nothing really will change for you.
And one of the best things that will come from AV1 is if you have a specific bit rate and it gives you a good visual at 30% of the data of VP9 or 50% of the data requirement of H.264. That means in the future, for specific games that have a lot of movement, a lot of detail, a lot of whatever, Google can bump up that bit rate, and they don't have to worry about people not having the bandwidth to download this, because they'd already been doing 4K streams on H.264. So it means for the same file size, we can have visuals that look so much better, almost to the point where maybe they're going to have, it's going to look like it's not a lossy codec. It's going to be something that looks like it's almost native, because they're going to be able to stuff that much more data into the data stream without overloading everybody's internet speeds. So it gives Google a lot of freedom in developing this and developing their hardware and software based encoding that they do right now in Stadia.
And people in chat are telling me I'm wrong, as they should. And there's always things that I'm not thinking of. Not that I didn't think of this, but Bradley Allen says, Bill, I will tell you you're wrong. With data caps, AV1 will be important for Stadia. I already play everything on 720p just so I don't hit my data cap each month. And I know that your people aren't going to want to hear this, but if you have a data cap, you shouldn't be using Stadia, because it's such a bandwidth. It's such a data hog. It uses up so much data. I personally would not, if I had a data cap, I would not play Stadia, and I would not recommend it, because it's not for everybody. Yes, AV1 will make your life better, but you're already kind of managing it. So my main point here is that you shouldn't feel like you have to upgrade to something that has AV1.
Yeah.
If it's working for you already, that's really what my point is. Go ahead.
The good thing with Google supporting multiple codecs in what they're doing with Stadia means the old hardware will still work. You'll just get better performance on newer hardware, and it's similar to anything that you have. Like you buy a better computer, well, you can still use all the old stuff, but the new stuff is going to run a little bit better. For this, you can still use the old H.264 encoding, and if that's all your device supports, you're going to be using a lot more data than your buddy down the street that has set-top box that has AV1. But if you don't have data caps, then that's not such a huge issue for you.
Yeah, data caps are stupid, and companies that have them should, I don't know, be sued into the ground or something. All right. So we had a lot of hypey stuff today. We've got some sad news for you. This is a game that I am very excited for. Riders Republic has been delayed. Here's what they have to say. They say, in September, we gave you our first look at our massive multiplayer playground in Riders Republic. We promised an action-packed outdoor sports park filled with all-out mass races with more than 50 fellow riders on next-gen consoles a variety of diverse activities and insane stunts. We can't wait to have you traverse our vibrant world and live out your own rider's fantasy. Today, we want to let you know that we've made the decision to move our release to later this year. Blah, 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 blah. Look, take all the time you need. We do not want another Cyberpunk 2077 where people ship a game that's not finished. And I know that Stadia is a great place to play Cyberpunk 2077, but the game's not done. And it shouldn't have shipped when it did. That doesn't mean that I didn't have fun playing it, but it could have been better had they had more time to cook. And that's why they are continuing to work throughout the year to try and improve it. So Riders Republic, take your time. I'm in no rush. Speaking of delays, there's too many games with out in the name. Outriders, I think is the name, from Square Enix also got delayed, and apparently that game is not day and date for Google Stadia. They're going to have a demo out in a couple of months, I believe it is. I didn't put this to the show notes, so I've forgotten it. But the demo is going to come out. I asked, is the demo going to come to Google Stadia? And nobody replied. But I guess it's not going to be shipping day and date with the other consoles. It will be coming to Stadia in 2021. But you know what? I'm totally fine with that. Just because we got Cyberpunk day and date, just because we got Baldur's Gate 3 day and date, doesn't mean that every game is always going to be day and date. And I would prefer that they take their time and do it right rather than rush things and get it wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. Look at what happened with Cyberpunk. They didn't delay it enough for the old gen versions of the games, and now they're playing PR catch up constantly. And there's a lot of issues, class action lawsuits, all those things. When just delaying the game a little bit more. What is it? Miyamoto said, "A bad game is bad forever. A delayed game is eventually good." That's a bad rewording of what he said, but that's essentially what it means. Like. People won't remember the delays. They'll remember having a bad experience with your game when it launched. So take all the time you need with Riders Republic.
And Hungry Moogle in chat, speaking about Outriders, he says, on an email I got from Square, the demo is not going to be on Stadia or the Epic Games Store. So thank you very much for that information. I probably got the same email and just didn't read it closely enough. All right. Now is the part where we respond to all of the super chats that came in throughout the show. Thank you very much for supporting the channel, each and every one of you. The following people sent in super chats without any comments. So we got Sukotronic, Jay Dangle, Keith Hutchinson, Ted A. All of those guys sent in super chats. Some of them were like a little dancing animated stickers and stuff like that. We appreciate that. But thank you very much to all of you for the support. During the show, Dusty became a member. Thank you for joining. And Anthony sent in a question. He said, hey, guys, so the Valkyria 4 webpage, it has a link to see the Stadia trailer. It would be cool if there was another link to see live streams so that people could see gameplay or maybe a demo. I think that this is something that a lot of video game websites need to do. They need to put demos on every platform, but mostly on Stadia because there's no download, there's no friction. It's just click the link and you're playing the game. If you go back to last year before Stadia launched, probably episode 3 or 4 of Stadiacast, Lloyd and I did a whole episode about how Stadia could usher in the golden age of demos. The silver age being when you got the discs and the magazines. But the golden age of demos could be coming, and I think that that's definitely something that should be happening. If you are confident in your game, then there should be a demo. And if it's on Stadia, that demo should be linked on your website where you just click the button, play it, and then at the end of the demo, it says, would you like to pre-order this game or purchase this game? It's a no-brainer. What do you think, Lloyd?
100%. Jem in the chat room says exactly what I was going to say. There's no data leaks anymore with demos on Stadia. You don't have to worry about putting a demo on a CD and then you left in some detail that like Mark Hamill's voicing the main character or the main bad guy, and it's just like, oh my god, we didn't announce that yet. What are we ever going to do? All the stuff on Google is in Google. It's on Google's data servers. No one's going to have it on their computer. They can't break it down. They can't do what Gem does, looking for all the codes in the latest APK. All that stuff is just gonna be server side, which is fantastic. So having more demos would be a really good thing. We talked about this, as you said, early on. But I used to buy magazines just because they had a demo disc on it for Xbox or PlayStation, because that was the easiest way to try games. Now having them just playable on Stadia would be huge.
Yeah, Jem is saying in chat, one of the Just Cause demos had a time limit in the open world game, and then someone made a mod which removed the time limit on PC,
yeah.
Which is like, that's the kind of thing you don't have to worry about with Stadia. Although, you know, which Jem also pointed out, if you don't count Immortals Phoenix Rising, when they accidentally turned it on and people were playing it, and I think it was in Canada, right?
Yeah, I think Eddie Player One was playing and streaming it before all that stuff got taken down. So yeah, that was an oops. I remember back in the day when Quake and everything was new. I think Quake 2 came out. id Software released a CD that had Wolfenstein, it had Doom, it had Doom 2, it had Final Doom, it had Quake, and it had Quake 2 on the disc. And you could go to 7-Eleven and you could buy this disc for like $4 or something. And then if you wanted to play the games past the shareware, you would call a 1-800 number, give them your credit card, and they would give you an unlock for either one game or all the games. And I remember that, and I was like, this is really cool. This is going to be the future of demos. It's like shareware, but you can just unlock it instantly. This is amazing. And then someone released a code that unlocked all of them, because there was a backdoor code that unlocked every game, and it was the same for every version of the disc. And I'm like, oh no, id Software, you just gave away your software to everybody. Keeping this stuff on.
Okay.
I think they're doing okay, yeah. But keeping this demos right on Stadia means that like publishers can release an email saying, hey, we're coming out with Riders Republic. You want to play a 15-minute demo? Click here if you have Google Stadia. If not, create your account with your Gmail account. And boom, they don't have to worry about releasing multiple binaries on Xbox and then PlayStation and then PC and this and that. They release it once and they just give the link to everybody else, and they can quickly and easily jump in and play it on their web browser. This would be a really good thing for Google to focus on, like just have an agreement, a demo exclusivity agreement or something with different publishers saying, we want your demos for every single game you put on the store, and we're going to give you money for doing it or something, just to encourage this behavior, because it's going to be good for the platform, but also good for publishers and developers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you totally nailed it. Ruben did a super chat. He says, I don't know what Bill and Lloyd need in 2021 fund. Love your faces. Obviously, referring to your camera fund and my camera track fund. Some of you may have noticed my camera moves back and forth. I tied I don't have a camera track. I tied it to the back of my cat, and he's just walking back and forth, changing the angle. So now I have a camera cat. Which is what's going on here. So thank you very much for that. And then Paul Connor sent in a super chat. They said, hey, little tip to support you. Well, thank you very much, Paul. We appreciate it. And we appreciate everybody who supports the channel, either through super chats or becoming members or the applause button. But you know what? If all that's too rich for your blood, then simply tell somebody about the channel. All right, just share it out. Tell one of your friends, hey, I think you'll like this show. These guys are weird, and you like weird stuff, so why don't you hang out with them for a little bit? And we really appreciate everybody who does that. And by the way, click on the like button down below. Hungry Moogle sent in a super chat. Almost we're done. They said, do we have anything planned for show 100? I think that we're probably going to talk about Stadia.
Yeah, I think for show 100, we're going to do a show. That's what we have planned currently.
I don't know. I'm bad at that stuff. What do you guys think we should do?
We have some time. We have 6 weeks to get something going. But yeah, more than likely, we'll do a normal show unless someone has a great idea.
It's not abusive. I pay the cat. He's fine with it.
He gets what's the cat treats that are come in the bag? I can't think of the name of them.
Pounce.
He gets Pounce. He gets an ample supply of Pounce for walking back and forth.
That's right. And
You
plus,
actually bought two treats, two treat givers, the automated ones. So it dispenses one on one side, he walks to that side. Then it dispenses one on the other side, and he walks to that side.
That's exactly right. That's it's the most complicated thing. It would have been so much easier to just get a camera track, but instead I got 2 cat treat dispensaries and a strap that straps the camera to the cat, and he just keeps going back and forth. So CDRW says interview with the Stadia team. Well, we've already interviewed John Justice twice.
Yeah,
and I would love to interview him again. But
anybody at Stadia.
Anybody
if you're at Stadia,
but that's completely out of our control.
Yeah, if you work for Stadia and you have the okay to talk about things that aren't secret, we'd love to have you on the show. But I know that most companies, they really limit who can talk because they don't want something said by accident or things they don't want people talking out of turn. So getting someone from Stadia on the show is going to be tough, but we would love to do it if it's a possibility, for sure.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy that it ever happened, ever.
Yeah.
That somebody from Google talked to us nerds in my attic in his basement. So it's crazy. All right. Let's wrap up the podcast and we can chit chat a little bit afterwards. And then we have some Star Wars to play. So
we do.
Thank you guys for listening to the show. You guys are awesome. We really do appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we will see you next Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern at nerdnest.tv.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right, we got that saved.
That's a good one. Grace from Google. That's a great idea, Honey Moogle. Or Honey Moogle? Hungry Moogle. I'm hungry.
Feel free to tweet at Grace and tell her that she should be on our show, because we would love to talk to her. She's awesome. She's also a Twitch streamer, if you guys don't know.
It's one of the things where I'm positive from some other place where she's been approached that it's contractually she's not allowed to talk to people that way. But we would love to have her if that contract ever changes. That's how it is with big companies. Like I have friends that work at large studios and they can't talk to me. They actually can't even be on one of my podcasts, even if we don't talk about the game or their company that they work at, because they just have a blanket on all people appearing on podcasts and websites and doing interviews and things like that.
Yeah, I reached out to, I won't say who it is, but I reached out to somebody. I had a connection to them who did one of those official Google things. And they were like, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed because of the contract. So it's, it's very hard to control your message when you have more than a very narrow band of people saying things. Which, you know what, I'm not, it's not about necessarily controlling my message, but like, that's why we tend to not like, if we do have guests, we tend not to have guests on that it's live, because I don't know what they're going to say. Maybe they're a giant racist, or maybe they're going to start swearing every third word. And I want to be able to say, oh, you know what? I'm not going to push that out there. So generally, like when I record 143 pixels, I don't do it live, because I don't know if this person has the same temperament that I do. And that's the same kind of reason. Like I saw a lot of conversation happening on Twitter recently about, why doesn't Google work with small people like us? And there's a couple of reasons. Number one, you guys are already Stadia fans. What does that get them? It gets them nothing. They get nothing from that. But secondly, they don't know what they can watch my content and be like, oh, Bill seems like a stand-up guy. But then it can turn out that I'm not a stand-up guy, and they're like, oh, okay, well, we just associated ourselves with these people, and these people turned out to be horrible racists or something. And now we've got a problem where we wouldn't have had a problem if we had just, got somebody under contract and pre-recorded a thing and heavily edited it so that we don't have to worry about that kind of thing. It's just a reason why. Justin is. Did you have something to say before I answer, Justin?
No, it's just that's exactly it. It's easier to make to tie people to a contract. So if something happens against it, you have some recourse as a company. I think literally recently this blew up because Ray the gaming cyborg, Luna did a really cool little image animation because he had been streaming Scott Pilgrim on Luna, and they're like, hey, are you going to keep streaming Luna? We made you this really cool image. And then immediately everybody's like, why doesn't Stadia do that? Well, Luna's playing catch up for one, so they have to do really good marketing. But Google's already has they've been out for a year. They don't really have to do stuff like that. And while it would be really nice, and I'd love to have a Stadia sweatshirt that they sent out to a bunch of YouTube creators. We're a captive audience already. They don't need to tell us anything about Stadia because we already live, breathe, and talk Stadia. They want people that don't already to get on that to get on that. So that's kind of why I don't see it happening, but I would love if it did happen.
Yes. All right. Ruben just sent in a tip for the cat. He's doing a great job. Good job, Marv. Good boy.
You know what? Yeah. All this time, Bill, I didn't realize that your camera was on a track. I had no clue because I don't really see you. I see your face in the YouTube thing. So I didn't realize that I can now see your Pac-Man cabinet, where before I couldn't see your Pac-Man cabinet just a little while ago. So
yeah, they don't know what you're talking about because like you cover up the Pac-Man cabinet, but there it is right there. There's the Pac-Man cabinet. And then it'll pan around to the other side, or the cat will move around to the other side, and you'll see my actual Asteroids Deluxe arcade cabinet over there in a little bit.
That's right.
It's very subtle. I can speed it up if I want, but by having the treats come out faster, I really gotta stick with the story here. Anyway, thank you very much, Ruben. And Justin asked, when are the new episodes of episode 1 of 143 Pixels coming out? I don't know. I only have 4 episodes recorded. I've already talked to like 40 content creators about stuff, and so the people that I know that I can talk about a game that they're super passionate about is starting to, like, that pool of people is starting to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And I've got a couple of people that I've reached out to that have said yes, but we just can't get it scheduled. And I like to have all 10 episodes of a season done before I release any of them. So it'll be done when it's done. And I'm just going to take my time. Although I have considered lowering the number of episodes in a season down to 5 just to make it easier to get a season done so people can hear them. I have like 4 episodes recorded.
You'll have to hit people up for second appearances and start that going forward. Yeah. With some new people, of course, but some of the old favorites coming back on for another go.
Well, this is what Lloyd and I are about to do. We're gonna play some Star Wars with a couple of our friends, and I'm very excited about it. So we will see you guys. I hope you have an awesome Sunday and the rest of your week, and we will see you on Sunday next week. Make sure you hit that subscribe button before you go.
Yeah, take it easy, everybody. Make sure hit subscribe, thumbs up, and we'll talk to you next time here on Nerd Nest with hopefully some more first looks and other videos going up this week. We're back in the thick of it, folks. So get ready for some content.
That's right. Bye, everyone.
Later. So yeah, my video from you, or not from you, my video from YouTube kept pausing on the stream,
really?
which was really weird. I'm trying to figure out if it's a me thing or if it's a YouTube thing, but